Hey there folks, my name is Emptyberry, and welcome to today's episode of Lore to Go, the series where we talk about the story behind games in 5 minutes or less. This episode will be about the Guardian known as Crow. I'll be going over his backstory, what his role is within the Vanguard, and highlighting some of the interesting parts about his character. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel in order to see more videos about characters and events in the Destiny universe. With all that said, let's jump into it. A couple years ago, a new Guardian by the name of Crow was revived by a ghost in the Dreaming City. The beginning of his new life was difficult, as every time he came across another Lightbearer, they either ignored him entirely or violently attacked him. As someone that was revived by a ghost, Crow had no memories of his past, and thus had no idea why he was being treated this way. To other Guardians though, Crow was the man who had killed Cade 6, the Hunter Vanguard. Prior to being risen, Crow was the Awoken Prince, Uldren Sov. Though he was an incredibly skilled tactician and warrior, he was also kind of a jerk and was a bit too obsessed with his sister. After Mara Sov's disappearance during the Taken War, Uldren slowly succumbed to the darkness while being manipulated by Riven, the last Ahamkara. It was during this time that he helped to create the Scorn by infusing Fallen with corrupted ether. After attacking his own people with the Scorn, he was eventually thrown into the Pit of Elders by Cade 6 and Petra Venj. Sometime later, he would go on to lead a prison break, which would eventually lead to the death of Cade. The Guardian then proceeded to hunt down the Scorn Barons and Uldren, killing him in the Dreaming City as a means of revenge for the death of the Hunter Vanguard. After Crow was risen, he stayed away from civilization for almost a year. At this point, he wound up forcefully working for the Spider, a fallen crime lord who promised him safety from the outside world. Crow eventually realized he was being held captive, but was unable to leave due to the Spider attaching explosives to his ghost cell and threatening to destroy him if he fled. When Xivu Arath's forces invaded the Tangled Shore, the Guardian met Crow and together they helped stop the High Celebrant. The Guardian, knowing Crow's past, was able to see that Crow was his own person and accepted him as a Guardian, helping him to escape the Spider and come to the Last City. While still relatively unknown amongst the Guardians, Crow quickly began to treat Osiris as a mentor. While in the Last City, he wore a mask to hide his identity and began working as a scout under Osiris's tutelage, even though he still didn't know why other Guardians despised him. When Kaido came to the system, Crow worked as a bodyguard for Zavala, saving his life from assassination twice from rogue Scions. In the process, Zavala and the rest of the Vanguard would come to know his identity, but due to his actions as a Guardian, they were able to accept him. During Season of the Lost, Crow communicated with Savathun during her captivity. She teased him with knowledge of his past, and he steadily became more frustrated as his friends wouldn't talk about it with him. This was even more frustrating for him since Savathun had been posing as Osiris, who Crow had grown to admire and trust. Eventually, she would restore all of his memories from his time as Uldren, including his involvement in Cade's death. Confused and unsure how to process this information, he asked for reassignment away from the Vanguard until he figured out who he was. Crow has a habit of questioning the status quo of Vanguard operations, specifically when it comes to combating other races. During his time alone after being resurrected, he spent time with the Fallen and learned some of their culture. He likes to question the motive of our enemies, and doesn't believe in being cruel to them no matter the circumstances. This has caused some disagreements between him and other Guardians, specifically Lord Saladin. Crow regularly argued with Saladin during the Rites of Proving, questioning why they should be killing the Cabal, who are also enemies of the Hive. Even when the Lucid Brood came to Earth, he strongly disagreed with the psychic interrogation techniques of the Cabal, believing it was akin to torture. Saladin and Zavala have attempted to help him see their side of things, but he has stuck to his beliefs, going so far as to prematurely end the psychic interrogation program, which inadvertently killed one of Empress Kaido's closest advisors. Crow's story appears to be leading towards him becoming the Hunter Vanguard. In the Season of the Haunted, he is forced to confront his past in the form of the Nightmare of Uldren. With help from Eris and the Guardian, he is able to come to terms with himself and stop feeling guilt over what happened as Uldren. As the one who completed Cade's Vanguard Dare, which stated that the one who killed him had to become the next Vanguard, and with every other notable hunter trying to shy away from Vanguard duties, it will be interesting to see if the young Guardian can rise to the task. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Lore to Go. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on any future content. In the coming weeks, we'll be discussing more about the events of the Season of the Haunted, including character profiles and deep dives into content like the Duality Dungeon. That's all for today though. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.